Today, I will be creating my pattern card for my tall basket. My pattern card's like a blueprint or a plan of what my basket's going to look like. But before I can get started designing what my basket's going to look like, I need to transfer some information from my future self-identity worksheet onto my pattern card. So, referencing my future self-identity worksheet, I chose engineer for my future career. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill that out on my pattern card. The color I chose to represent engineer was blue. So where it says Weaver color, I'm going to write down blue. My future talent I chose was salsa dancing. The color I chose to represent salsa dancing was red. So I'm going to write down red in my Weaver color. And last is my future characteristic. According to my future self-identity worksheet, I chose funny. And to represent that, I chose the color purple. Now that I have my future self-identity information with the colors, I'm ready to design my basket. The baskets we make have 3 colors. The colors I chose were blue, red, and purple. As well as our 3 colors, we have 2 different sizes of reed. 1/2-inch reed and 1/4-inch reed. The 1/4-inch reed that we use have to be all the same color. So for my basket, I'm choosing purple. Now I'm ready to put my reed chips on my pattern card and start designing. So now that I'm ready to design my pattern card, I can reference up top here my 1/2-inch weaver size and my 1/4-inch weaver size. For this, we're going to use reed chips to design my pattern card. If we're using an iPad, we're going to simply transfer my pattern from my iPad onto the pattern card. When building a basket, we always start from the bottom to the top. So that's where I'm going to begin, at the very bottom. This is the fun part where I get to be creative and design what my basket's going to look like. The spaces on my pattern card are different sizes. The smaller size here represents 1/4 inch or 1/4 inch. The larger represents a 1/2 inch. If I want to put down a 1/2 inch weaver, it's going to cover up 2 of the 1/4 inch spaces because we know 2 1/4 inches equals a 1/2 inch. Remember, I can only use 2 or 4 of the 1/4 inch weavers, and they need to be all the same color. So now that I have my pattern laid out with my reed chips, I'm going to look up top and I'm going to see an inner rim and an outer rim. This is an extra weaver that goes around the edge of our basket. And I'm just going to choose the same color for both of these to match my very top row. So I'm going to make these red. Next step, I'm going to get crayons of the same color, and I'm going to go ahead and color it in so that I have this to reference while building my basket. When I color in for the 1/2 inch reed size, I'm going to color vertically. And the same for the blue. Even though there are 2 1/4 inch spaces, I'm going to color in vertically to fill in both of those spaces. Right now I'm just doing a rough coloring because I can go in and color the full thing later. For the 1/4 inch, I'm going to color side to side horizontally in that 1/4 inch space. And don't want to forget the rims at the top of the page. So once I have everything colored in, I can go ahead and move my reed chips out of the way and then just color in the rest of the row. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is just a blueprint or a plan so we remember what pattern our basket's going to be when we're building it. All right, now that I have everything filled in and colored, I know exactly what my basket's gonna look like. The next step is to fill in our reed needed sections. This is asking us how many of each reed size and color we're going to need. So here it says, I need how many blues? It's asking how many 1/2 inch blues that I need. So I'm going to reference back to how many I colored in. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blue 1/2 inch weavers. And I know that they're 1/2 inch because I colored vertically and I'm filling in 2 of the 1/4 inch spaces. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put a 5 right here where it says 1/2 inch weavers. Next, it's asking how many red weavers I need. I know that I used all 1/2 inch red weavers. So now for my red, starting with my rims, I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/2 inch red weavers. So I'm going to fill in the 5. Next is my purple. I know that I chose purple as my 1/4 inch color. So I need to figure out how many 1/4 inch purples I used. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 1/4 inch purple weavers. So I'm going to put a 4 right where it says 1/4 inch weavers. And I'm gonna go ahead and fill in a 0 right where it says 1/2 inch. And I'm gonna put 0 for 1/4 inch red weavers because we know we only are using 1/2 inch red. And the same with the blue. We are not using any blue 1/4 inch weavers. Now that I have my reed needed section filled out, I know exactly how many weavers I need to cut in order to build my basket. Now looking at my future self-identity worksheet, I see that I chose engineer as my future career. So I'm just going to transfer that over to my pattern card. For engineer, I chose the color blue to represent it. So where it says weaver color, I'm just gonna write in blue. My future talent is salsa dancing. And for salsa dancing, I chose the color red. And last is my future characteristic. I chose funny, and to represent that, I chose purple. I've laid down my first reed chip. Just remember, we start from the bottom and move to the top. As a reference, on our pattern card, we see the 2 different sizes, our 1/2 inch weavers and our 1/4 inch weavers. On the pattern card itself, we see these spaces that are all a 1/4 inch thick. These spaces can represent a 1/4 inch or they can represent a 1/2 inch because we know a 1/4 inch plus a 1/4 inch is a 1/2 inch. So when placing down our reed chips, we're just going to cover up 2 of those spaces. So I've decided to use 2 of my purple 1/4 inch weavers. Now, I'd like to point out these 2 spaces on top. These are our rims. There's 2 extra weavers we need for the inside and outside of the top of our basket, and those are called our rims. These rims need to be the same color, and I'm gonna make them the same color as my top row. So I'm going to make those red. Now that I have all my reed chips laid out in the pattern that I want, I'm gonna go in with a crayon, and I'm gonna go ahead and just color in all these spaces with the colors I've chosen so that I know exactly what my pattern will be like. When coloring a 1/2 inch space, I'm going to color up and down or vertically to represent a 1/2 inch weaver. So I'll do it the same with the blue. I'm not filling in the whole row right now. I'm just getting it marked down on my card. For the 1/4 inch weavers, we want to color side to side or horizontally to represent that 1/4 inch weaver. Now that I have them all marked, I can move my reed chips aside. And now it's permanently on my pattern card so I can reference this when building my basket. And if I have time, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna color in the whole row. All right, now that I have it colored in, as you can see, it doesn't need to be perfect. All I need to know is what colors go where so I can build my basket correctly. Now that I'm done with my pattern, I'm going to go and I'm going to look on top to my read needed section. Here is where we find out exactly how many weavers we're going to need in order to build our basket. In this first column, I see that I've chosen the color blue. So I need to find out how many blue weavers I'm going to need. So I'm going to reference to my pattern card and count. 1, 2, 3. I know I have 3 half-inch weavers. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. And I know that I didn't use any blue 1/4 inch weavers, so I'm going to put a 0. Now for the red column, I'm going to go ahead and see how many reds I have, making sure not to forget to count my rims. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 1/4 inch or half-inch weavers. And I know those are half-inch because I colored them in up and down, which is vertically. And I did not use any red 1/4 inch weavers. Last but not least is purple. And I used 1, 2 purple 1/4 inch weavers. So I'm going to put a 2 at the 1/4 inch, and I did not use any purple 1/2 inch, so I will put a 0. So once your read needed section is filled out, I know exactly how many weavers I need to cut in order to make my basket.